We can
This
have
conference
everyone
will
in this
now
room
be recorded.
with all that's going on there in Israel now. Yeah.
I WhatsApp with her yesterday. She's ready to be there.
Yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
She said
No,
it's the best place to be.
yeah. No,
Okay.
she's so appreciative that she got there before all the.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, she's got a beautiful, beautiful attitude.
Yeah.
Beautiful attitude.
Yeah.
And the Jewish humor comes out in these situations. Someone sent me that for 46 years there were no flights from Israel to Iran. Now the only flights from Israel are to Iran. No flights going anywhere else but to Iran. Ay, crazy, crazy, crazy. I spoke to my son Shraga earlier today, and he spends a good amount of time when necessary in the mamad in the shelters, but he doesn't have a mamad in his apartment. He's in an older apartment, so they go to the
So they have like a neighborhood shelter.
yeah, the old school shelters. Yeah,
Because so they're more protected.
yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately.
But he said it's amazing. He said that there's such a resilience there. He said, yeah. So yeah, if the alarms, if the alarm sounds, so I head over there for a little while, and then I go back to what I need to do. I'm going to Yeah, he has something at Sheba Hospital. He might be doing some work for them. Going there tomorrow morning for a meeting. Yeah. When we're here, we're
But
right.
everybody I spoke in Israel is very resilient. That's exactly what Shraga is saying.
Yeah.
Okay, alarm, we go to the mama.
Yeah.
And we come
But
out.
and at the same time, he said, look, this is what we've had. This is something we had to do for years and years and years, right?
That's the difference this time. Everybody in Israel supports that.
Yeah.
Unlike, the Gaza, there's a lot of other different, but this
Right.
one, everybody understands that this was inevitable. And
Yeah.
this was the
Look,
so.
Jewish history has taught us, very sadly and tragically, that when people say, we want to wipe you off the map, we have to take them at their word. We have to believe them. And Iran, they had this clock going there, counting down the 25 years, whatever was predicted, that when Israel would be, completely wiped off the map. This was their plan. This was their plan with Hezbollah. This is their plan with the Houthis. This is their plan with Hamas, right, to encircle us. And Israel, with incredible Yad Hashem, has cut off each of the tentacles of the octopus, and now they're going for the head of the octopus. And it sounds like Trump is going to be only the U.S. has those bunker bombs which can take out Fordo and stuff. It sounds like he's on the verge of that happening.
I sent out a letter, many people, to Trump to encourage the administration to be more active and not to stay on the sideline.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can email it to you and maybe everybody in the congregation
can
do that.
Yeah.
I think
those who want.
They get bombarded. I don't know if they read it right away. I don't even know if they read
it. They don't read it, but they keep a tally of what people are saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the more the better. So
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let us begin over here. We're on Parsha Shlach, page 798 in the Stone Chumashim. By the Hashem said to Moshe, saying, Shlach lecha anashim, send people, vayaturu et eretz Canaan, and let them vayaturu, let them scout out, spy out the land of Canaan. Good morning, Anala. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Let them scout out the land of Canaan that I'm giving to the children of Israel. Ish echad, l'matei avotav tishlachu, kol nasi behem, leaders of the tribe, one from each tribe. And Moshe sent them from Ibar Paran, al pi Hashem, kulam anashim. They were all anashim, men, which means of stature. Kulam anashim, lashon chashivut. Rashi says this is a term that's used of dignity, of importance. Kulam anashim, Rashi, the leaders of Bnei Yisrael, they were Ve'ela shmotam, and these are their names. Reuven for the tribe of Reuven, and then Shimon, and then Yehuda, and then Yisachar, and then Ephraim, and then Binyamin. Very strange. Typically we have certain orders when we're listing the tribes that we go in. We have the orders of birth, we have the orders of the imahot, of who the mothers were, right? We have the order that we had in terms of the digalim, in terms of the encampments, but this is not following any of that. We have Reuven, he's the oldest. Okay, Shimon, next oldest, good. Yehuda, third oldest, so far good. Yisachar, okay, so I guess, right, we left out Levi, right? And that makes sense, right? Because he's a different category. So we're going with all of the children of Leah. So who should come afterwards? Then it should be Zvulun. Now we go to Lamata Ephraim. We go to Ephraim, right? Which is one of the sons of Yosef. And then we go to Binyamin, who was, right? So, okay, Ephraim is one of the descendants of, we'll say, of Rachel, as is Binyamin. Okay, but how about Menashe? We don't go there. Then we go back to Zvulun, which is the sixth son of Leah. And then we have Menashe afterwards. And then we have Dan, and then Asher and Naphtali, right? Everything is all a jumbled order. So why are they listed in this order? So Ramban says it was in order of their importance, this was an honor call. So no, not in order of size, just in order of the importance of these individuals, which is fascinating because we first had Shamua ben Zakur, Shaphat ben Chori, Kalev ben Yefuneh, okay, he's number 3, Yigal ben Yosef, Hoshea bin Nun. So Hoshea bin Nun, is in the number 5 slot over here. He became the number 2. He was the number 2 person to Moshe, became the leader after Moshe. And here he is. There were 4 other people who were considered more chashuv, more honored than he. Okay, so these are the people that sent. And then the pasuk says, "V'yikra Moshe loHoshea bin Nun Yehoshua." So Moshe called Hoshea bin Nun. He gave him instead the name of Yehoshua. What did he do? He added a yud to his name. Rashi explains, Nitpalel alav. He prayed on behalf of Yehoshua, Ka Yoshiacha me'atzat miraglim. Yehoshua, Yud-Hey, God's name, should save you, Yoshiacha, from the Eitzah of the Meraglim, from the council of the Meraglim. Interesting. So why is Moshe praying particularly? Well, first of all, there's always an interesting thing that happens, right? We know the importance of every word, of every letter in the Torah. That we're familiar with, the importance of every letter. So our sages understand that letters don't come out of nowhere. So this Yud had to come from somewhere. Where did this Yud come from? This letter Yud that was added to the name of Hosea, where did it come from? Oh, well, Sarai, the wife of Abraham, her name was changed to Sarah. So Avram became Avraham. A hey was added. Sarai became Sarah. A hey was added. But where did that Yud go? How about the Yud? So some say he traded in that Yud has a gematria of numerical value of 10, and Hey has 5. So we traded in a 10 and got 2 5s, right? The Hey and Hey of Avraham and Sarah, right? The Hey, right? It's interesting. In the Gemara, you have Ben Hey or Ben Bagbag, right? It sounds like a strange name. The son of Hey, the son of Bagbag, right? So an explanation that's given is that's a term they used for a convert. So Ben Hey was a son of Sarah and Abraham, a convert, right? Every convert is considered to be a direct child of Abraham and Sarah. When a convert is called up to the Torah, it's so-and-so Ben Avraham, right? That's the father's name. So they are Ben Hey or Ben Bagbag. Bet Gimel is gematria of 2 and 3. So it's another way of saying 5. So Ben Bagbag actually is Ben Hey, which means a child of Avram and Sarah, who is an illustrious convert of the wonderful people who join our nation. So one explanation is the Yud, or that's said, is that the Yud became 2 Heys. But another is that the Yud was demanding its place. Hey, you bumped me off of Sarai's name. Where I need a place to go to. And where did it go to? Hosea became Yehoshua. The letter Yud was added to the name Hosea to become Yehoshua. Yes, Leah.
To me, when I see the change, it's like more like adding part of the name of God to Hosea.
Right.
So it gives it
Yes. Nachon. That's what Rashi had said. Yahoshiacha. God should save you. Right? But there is an interesting parallel that of connecting Sarah to Yehoshua. Yehoshua is now going with the Meraglim, and Moshe was afraid that things might go south over here with the Meraglim, with the spies. And therefore he felt the need to pray on behalf of Yehoshua that he should not be influenced by them. In order to give him that strength, he gave him a letter from the name of Sarai. What was Sarah's special connection to the land? So Sarah was the first to be buried in the land of Israel, right? And the acquisition that Avram made, the first acquisition that we made in the land of Israel was Avraham purchasing Marat HaMachpelah, we call today the Tomb of the Patriarchs in Hebron, as a burial place for Sarah. So Sarah was the first to be buried in the land of Israel. The first acquisition in the land of Israel was made for Sarah, on behalf of Sarah, that she should have a proper burial place in the land of Israel. And Sarah was the one who was so concerned that Yishmael should not inherit this land of Israel along with her son Yitzchak. So Sarah had this special connection to the land of Israel. The Yud from her name was given to Hosea in order to give him the strength to stand up to the slander of the spies against the land of Israel. Now, just one other idea before we go a little bit further. So Moshe was particularly concerned about Hosea, and therefore he put in this special tefillah, so to speak, this prayer on his behalf. Why was he so concerned about Yehoshua? Well, Yehoshua was the Talmud of Moshe. He was the quintessential disciple of Moshe. And what was Moshe's overriding midah, attribute? We say that there was no one else in the world like Moshe when it came to, or we say when it came to prophecy, but when it came to anivut, when it came to humility, right? When it came to humility, Moshe was incredible. He was the most humble, and yet, as being the most humble, yet he was clearly the number one man, and he knew that. Hashem wanted him to take us out, lead us out of Egypt. Hashem had him split the sea. Hashem had him ascend Mount Sinai. But with all of that, he was the most humble of all people. And an explanation that's given for that is that as great as he was that much closer to Hashem, and therefore he had that much more humility, because he wasn't comparing himself to others. He was comparing himself to perfection, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to Hashem himself, and therefore there was this incredible humility. So Moshe was afraid that Yehoshua, as a Talmud, as a disciple, is meant to do, that Yehoshua had absorbed all of this humility. And therefore, he might say, as he mentioned before in the name of the Ramban, he was number 5 on this list, right? Who am I to go up against these, at least 4 of them, who are greater than I? Who am I? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're right. Right? We always second guess ourselves. There are always these studies that are done, right, where you have everyone saying something absolutely ridiculous with a lot of conviction, right? And then you look at the person, right, and the person who is the subject of this study goes like, "Yeah, I agree," right? It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, right? But everyone's saying it. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm there along, right? That is the mob mentality that unfortunately permeates so much of our world. So Moshe was particularly concerned about Yehoshua, his disciple, who had absorbed his humility and who might cower under the pressure, right? His humility, right? A great quote that I like to say over. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. I'm not thinking less of myself. I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. I'm thinking of myself less, and I'm thinking about other people more, right? I'm looking to see, as I think Kennedy famously said, not can my country do for me, but what can I do for my country? So humility is great, and Moshe is the prime example. He had this humility that God testifies the most humble of all men. At the same time, when he needed to stand up, he would stand up. And then standing up to Pharaoh, right, as a young man, right, or standing up to the Egyptian and saving the life of the Jew who was being beaten, standing up to Pharaoh to take us out of Egypt, throughout, standing up to God on behalf of the Jewish people after the sin of the golden calf and the sin we'll soon see of and the many sins that we did, always standing up for us. So therefore, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, still not perfect. No one is perfect. Yeah, that is part of being human. So that was his concern about Yehoshua, and then he sent them to search out the land. He said, go up by the south, go up to the mountain. You'll see the land. What is it? The nation that's sitting there, are they strong? Are they weak? Are they few? Are they numerous? Right? And the land where they are there, is it a good land? Is it not a good land? The cities, are they fortified? Are they not fortified? And the earth, is it fat? Is it thin? Are there trees there? And bring back from the fruit of the land. Beautiful. So why is Moshe sending them? So we work what's called al pi derech hateva. We recognize Hashem ish milchama, Hashem shemo, that our success in the battles are clearly in the hands of Hashem, but we need to have a strategy. We need to go to battle. We need to fight and recognize that our ultimate victory is in the hands of Hashem. But we have to work al pi derech hateva. We don't sit back and wait for miracles. We have to go ahead and we have to act. Right? As we're seeing now, right, presently in present day in Israel, with all of the horrors that took place on October 7th and the continued horrors of the hostages who were held and those who are still being held, and the losses of life from these Iranian missiles targeting civilian areas that have gotten through, right? And the casualties that we've had, and the many, many, many wounded that we've had, besides all of the property damage that we've had. At the same time, and it's so important to keep this in mind, and that's why every evening we say Tehillim for the situation in Israel. And a number of months ago, I made a slight change to the Tehillim that we say. And this was after I was at a rabbi's conference, and there were rabbis there also from communities in Israel. And they spoke about how the feeling in Israel, with all that's going on, is a feeling of tremendous gratitude for all that has happened and for the miracles that have accompanied. That in the synagogues there, that's what they're saying. So instead of just saying Tehillim, we were saying 121, which is Hashem, hear our cries, Hashem, guard us, Hashem, shomrecha, Hashem, tzilcha yaminecha. We say that, and I also added in Mizmor Latoda, Psalm 100, which is the song of thanksgiving. That we have to be praying to Hashem to guard us, to help us, and also to give thanks, because that was October 7th, 2023. We're less than 2 years from that date. Right? If 2 years ago, someone would have said, I'm looking into the future, and Hezbollah, with their 150,000 precision missiles, all aimed at Israel, is going to become a non-factor in Lebanon. Not a non-factor, not an active threat against Israel. Not a big active threat, right? Look, with all that's going on, they've said they're not going to join in with Iran. And Iran's whole strategy was surrounding Israel with all these proxies, that anything against Iran would unleash all of them. If anyone would have said that Hezbollah is not going to be an active is going to be tremendously degraded from where it is now into not an active threat. The talk in Israel was Hezbollah. They rained down 100,000 missiles. No way we can protect against that. It'll overwhelm any sort of protective Iron Dome, etc., David's sling, you name it, right? Degraded, tremendously degraded. Syria, Assad is gone. And Syria will be working somewhat against Hezbollah. Just this week, Syria said that Israel, al-Jolani said Israel, can intercept anything they want coming from Iran over Syrian skies. Syria would be, Hamas would be in ruins, and we would be, and the beepers will have gone off, and that Israel will be ruling the skies over Iran, doing whatever we want over there on top of Iran and bombing away their nuclear facilities. We just say that's delusional. That's absolutely delusional, right? Time to wake up from your dream, right? Wake up and smell the coffee, right? Face reality, right? And that's exactly where we are today.
Rabbi,
right?
I don't know that we would have said delusional. We might have said low probability, or it's a tough sell, but we know the rate on Entebbe, and we know the destroying of the Iraqi nuclear arsenal. So we have a track record.
We had Entebbe raid, right? But certainly that was not something that people viewed as a realistic, right? Miraculous, yes, right? We would say not delusion. We'd say from your mouth to God's ears. That we would say. But we're not consider it to be, and yet that's the reality that we're living in today. So we have to recognize the hand of Hashem, and yet, of course, we need to be there fighting. We need to have planted those beepers. We need to the bombs and the beepers, right? And what the Mossad has done now in Iran, this has been 10, 20 years in the making, that they're already there to do what needs to be done. But Moshe was sending them to go and find all these things. And they went, and they spent 40 days there, and then they come back. Let's go to the bottom of page 800. Chav Zayin, verse 27. Right? V'yesaprulo, and they told the story. Vayomru, and they said, Banu el haaretz, we came to the land. Asher shalachtanu, where you sent us. Vigam, and in fact, Zavat chalav udvashu, it is flowing with milk and honey. Just 1 second, did I miss something? Good. And we turn the page, it's flowing with milk and honey, v'zeh piryah, and this is its fruits. Ephes, but ki az ha'am hayoshev ba'aretz. The people who are in the land are very strong. Moshe said, find out. V'harim b'tzurot gedolot ma'od. And the cities are very fortified. That's what Moshe had said to find out. The Gam Yilidei ha'anakman, we saw children of giants over there. Amalek is in the Negev, the Chiti, Yevusi, Amori, the Kanani, right? So what did they do wrong? They simply came back and reported exactly what they were supposed to have reported. Okay. So what happened over here? Right? So there are different approaches. Ramban says the whole problem was in that one word that began verse 28. Ephes, but, however, ki az ha'am, the nation is very, very strong. That Ephes was saying, this is impossible. We're not going to be able to conquer. Right? They're too strong. The cities are too fortified. They're giants. They invoke the name Amalek. Amalek is what sends shivers up and down the spine. That was the first nation that had attacked us already when we left. We left Egypt in this ascendant state, and Amalek came and attacked us. So Ramban says the issue was the Ephes. Hi, Dov. Right? Others say, the Baal HaKedah says that the issue was 802. The issue was they were supposed to report. He gives an example, right? Someone says, "Listen, I want you to go to the market for me, and I'm interested in buying a certain talit, right? Come back and tell me about the talit. I want to know the size. I want to know the color. I want to know the price, right? So, right, you go to the market for me. You come back, and there are two ways you can report. You can say it is 70. It is 25 inches by 40 inches. The color is a little bit reddish or a little greenish. The color's a little bit greenish, and the cost is $50. Okay, you've done what I asked you to do. You came back and you gave me the information. Or you can come back and say, yeah, the size is this and this. What did I say? 25 by 50. But the color is reddish, and my gosh, they're asking $50 for it, right? Now, all of a sudden, you're not bringing back information. You have become my advisor. You're giving me a tzot, right? Critic, advisor, you're editorializing over here. You're not giving me information. Right? All of the news stations today, They all say, just the facts, right? But it's so not true. Every single one of them, right? They are so editorializing their view on it. It used to be you watch the news and you got the news. Now you watch the news, and depending what you want to hear, that's the channel that you decide to watch, because each one is slanted so heavily in whichever way they are leaning. So the problem Al-Qaeda says was that they were editorialized. The Shlach Kodesh says as follows.
It seems that Moshe
Yes,
did ask. It seems that Moshe's questions were also in the nature of evaluation and possibly editorializing, where he says, "Is it good or is it bad? And the cities, are they open or are they fortified? And how's the land?"
Okay, is the land fertile? Is it not fertile? Are the cities fortified? I hear what you're saying when it goes hatovihi imra'a, right? So
is it strong or weak? That's a judgment, an evaluation.
Yes. And the answer is they're very strong people there. We saw giants there, and the cities are fortified. Yes.
Oh, without the but.
Without the buts. Without yes.
Just
right?
as you were
Now,
saying, though, maybe these leaders were saying, if the conditions are such that we can't figure out the plan, like you say, you have to have a plan, even though Hashem is in there. We're stymied. It's confounding.
Okay.
So that might not be so bad to say we can't figure out the human component.
Fair enough. And in fact, the Shlach Kodesh says that they were being sent in order to strengthen the nation, to make them realize that al pi derech hateva, which means based on just normal, natural means, this is not going to work. But we just came out of Egypt. That was by no means natural means. We just experienced 10 plagues, and we left the strongest king and the strongest country, and we left them in ruins, and we crossed the sea, and we watched the sea spitting out their chariots and their fierce warriors. And therefore we have to realize that Hashem, who brought us this far, is bringing us further. So they were meant to realize that without a Kadosh Baruch Hu, without God, this is not going to work. But we're going in here with the confidence. We're going to go and fight, but we recognize that it is biyad Hashem. It is in the hands of Hashem. That's what they were meant to do. And instead, what happened? Instead they said it's not going to happen. Their faith faltered. Let's go further for a minute. Pasuk Lamed, verse 30. Vayahas Kalev et ha'am el Moshe. Kalev silenced the people el Moshe, at Moshe. And Rashi is a very strange construct. How did he silence them? El at Moshe. So Rashi brings the sages who explain that he wanted to get their attention, so he acted at first as if he was piling on. Is that all? Is that all that this Ben Amram did? I didn't even mention his name. Is that all that this son of Amram did? And everyone thought that he's going to pile on. And therefore they all stopped to listen to him because they wanted to hear more along those lines. And then he said, is that all Ben Amram did? He split the sea. He brought down the man. He brought us the Slav, right? He quieted them down. Initially, they thought El Moshe, but he said, Alo na'aleh. We will go up, we will go. V'arashnu ota, and we will inherit it. Ki achol nuchal la. We will be able to do it. Hashem is with us. This is not meant to be. This is not meant to be in a natural takeover. Hashem is with us. Hashem is with us. Ki achol, we're able to do it. And the people who went up with them said, Lo nuchal. We can't. Ki chazak hu mimenu. He is stronger even, right, simply than us. But Rashi says stronger than God. Vayotziu dibat haaretz, and they spread this slander of the land. They said, the land we passed by there, it consumes its inhabitants. Whoever we saw, they were giant. We saw the Nephilim. We were like grasshoppers in their eyes. V'chein hayinu. Be'einehem, the very, very powerful pasuk. Look at 33 for a moment. V'nehi be'einenu kechagavim. We were in our eye. V'nehi be'einenu. We were like grasshoppers in our eyes. V'chein hayinu be'einehem. And that's how we were in their eyes. Do you hear that? Once we thought of ourselves as little grasshoppers, then in fact, that's how they were viewed by others, or that's how we were sure that others viewed us. Right? And that happens very often. If we're thinking a certain way about ourselves, then we project that onto everyone. Everyone's thinking that, everyone's saying that, everyone thinks that. We project that onto them. Vatisa kol ha'edah vayitnu et kolam vayivku ha'am b'layla hahu. They all raised up, they gave forth their voice, and they wept on that night. Right? Yes, Dov.
It says Rabbi, he's saying they have no right to consider how the giants viewed them.
Yeah.
They have no right. Where'd that come from that they thought they did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they all cried on that night, famously.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, if you take a look, and the English has it, take a look on page 803 in the second, underneath the lines, we have the added commentary by 14, 1-4, national hysteria. Yeah. The Shlach The Spies had done their work well. The entire nation, even members of the Sanhedrin, the High Court, became convinced that the advance to Eretz Yisrael was doomed, and that Moses had misled them by taking them out of Egypt. So convinced were they that they would be doomed to the venture into the land of Israel, that they wanted to replace Moshe with a leader who would guide them back to the land of their enslavement. The sages teach this leader had been an idol, okay? Next paragraph. The tragedy of their delusion had far-reaching consequences. For when the people wept that night, God declared, they indulged in weeping without a cause. I will establish this night for them as a time of weeping throughout the generations. That night was Tish'a B'Av, the 9th of Av, the date when both temples were destroyed and many other tragedies took place throughout Jewish history. So, to understand that just a step deeper, we were supposed to go into the land of Israel in a miraculous way. And miraculously, we would need to fight the battles and make our effort, but miraculously, we would be victorious. Instead, we reverted back to a teva, to a natural, who's stronger, who can do it stance. That is what led to the Bechia Lidorot. That is what led to the cries for all generations, meaning we lost that zechut, that merit of having this miraculous, purely miraculous component, and therefore, right, we were subjected to teva, to natural occurrences. And natural occurrences leads to galiyut, leads to exiles. That it's not going to be this ascendant state forever. And we were in the land of Israel, right, with Yoshua. 40 years later, we entered the land of Israel. And 440 years later, Solomon built the temple, the first Beit HaMikdash, which stood for 410 years. So we're talking about since we left Egypt, 480, the building of the temple, 410. We're at 890 years. But then, after 410 years, it was destroyed. It was destroyed by Bavel. And then 70 years, Galut Bavel, the Babylonian exile. And then the return to Israel for the second Commonwealth. And that was then built and stood for 420 years. So another 490 years, right? And then that too was destroyed. And since then, we have had so many miracles, but it's always been interspersed with so much pain and difficulties and tragedies and horrific tragedies and pogroms. I'm sorry?
It's all because of this event?
It's all, well, that's what set it in motion. That, yes, to a degree, yes. Meaning, had we entered the land of Israel as we were supposed to, right? At this point, with Moshe leading us in, had we entered the land of Israel as we were supposed to, had we entered in this al tiv'i level, in this beyond the simple natural level, then that is what would have continued. Actually, there's a beautiful Orach Chaim. We had this a while ago. Just 1 second, sorry. We had this a while ago. Let me piece it together. Yeah, well, had Moshe gone into the land of Israel with us and built the Beit HaMikdash, right, then it never would have been destroyed. Yeah. So that's what leads us to where we are today, where there are so many miracles happening along with so much pain and suffering. With
amen to this. I mean, it's given forever.
Not forever. Be'ito achishena, right? That right. The pasuk says the Mashiach, the Messiah, will come be'ito, in its time, and the pasuk also says achishena. I will hasten it. And the Gemara says, well, that's contradictory. Is it in its time? Will it be hastened? Which one? And the Gemara says, zachu, if they have the zechut, the merit, achishena. If we don't have the merit, then it will be be'ito, in its time. And a number of people have shared with me a very, very fascinating idea. If you look in the back of our Chumashim, we have Kohelet, Ecclesiastes. And let me find it. Kohelet on page 12. 1280. Okay? 1280 on Kohelet, Perek Gimel, right? You look in that column there. L'chol zman ve'et, for everything has its season. L'chol zman, everything has its season. Ve'et l'chol chefetz tachad hashamayim, and a time for everything under the heaven. 8 laled, at a time to be born. 8 lamut, a time to die. This is made famous by the group The Birds with their classic turn, turn, turn. For everything, turn, turn, turn. Yeah, there is a season. Sorry?
Who was the singer?
The Birds, Byrds. Yeah. So 8 laledet, 8 lamut, 8 latat, 8 la kornatua. Right? A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to wreck, a time to build, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to wail, a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, a time to shun embraces, a time to lose, a time to discard, a time to mend, a time to speak, a time to hate, and a time for peace. 1 second.
So wise.
There are 18, right? Right? Pasuk, right? Each verse, right? Born, die, plant, uproot, kill, heal, fruits, build, cry. That's 10, 12, 14, 16. 1 second. Yeah.
You count also the counterpoints. You know, the other end of the spectrum, it's 28. If you're only counting each pasuk, it's
It's 28. Yes. So I believe, I don't have my calculator with me. The Vilna Gaon says, I believe, as follows. If you there's 28 altogether. If you divide 6,000 years that this world is meant to continue as it is now, right, by 28, comes out to 214. Anyone have their phone with them, right? 208. 6,000 by 28 is, I think, about 214 is how it comes out. You have your phone there? 214. 6,000 divided by 28.
No, the first is 20 something. It's 20 something. Is it 26?
214.28.
Good. 214.28. 214.28. Okay. So now, how many years are we before the year 6,000?
Right now.
Very short.
5785. So we are 2015 or 2014 and change.
And change. We're close.
Right? 214, right? And a few months, right? So if you take, right? So we are, the Vilna Gaon says, this is 28 different stages of the world. So we have transitioned from 8 milchama this year, and if you do the math on the 0.28 times 365, right, or 354 lunar days. I'm sorry?
What year are we?
5785. So that's 215 years from the end. Or 214, now we're already into this year. It's 214 and change into this. And actually, the percentage there, 218 point whatever it was, 14, 214.28. Okay? So 0.28. Now please do 0.28 times 354. 0.28 times 354.
Why 354?
That's how many days in a year? In a lunar year?
Lunar year.
0.28 times 354?
99.12.
99 days. Right? So 99, right, is bringing us, right? So we are, right? So you need to go back 214 years and 99 days. 99 days, right?
Oh.
Right? That's when, right? So
that's the limit.
That is when we transition fully into this last time period, right? 99 days, so that's 3 months, right? We have Tammuz, Av, Elul, and what month are we in now? We're in the month of Sivan now, right? So we are right now, I think they make the calculation that it was this past Friday where we transitioned from 8 Milchama to 8 Shalom.
Tell it to Trump.
Huh?
He needs to come out and help us to get there.
So it's right around these days, right now, when we have transitioned, according to the Vilna Gaon's calculation, from 8 Milchama to 8 Shalom. And this is a time now when we are going for the head of the octopus that has been threatening our destruction ever since they rose to power and counting the days to wiping us out. So yes, with the Meraglim, right, that's what set the stage for the Bechiyah Lidorot, the cries for generations. but the cries for generations is going to come to an end at the time when Umach Hashem edidima me'al kol panim, the verse in the prophet says, Umacha Hashem, God will wipe off dim'ah, the tears, me'al kol panim, from all of the faces. And that's when we transition from Eit Milchama to Eit Shalom. So
Rabbi?
So we hope that is what we are experiencing right now. Yes, Janet?
So will all the others that we've staged through, like a time to love and a time to hate, will those not be in this last, or do they repeat? I mean, do they continue on?
Shalom is the kli, is the vessel that encompasses all, right? Okay. So I would say, now it's very interesting, now people have started to work this out and see, right, well, what happened at these other 214-year junctures of the world, of world history in these past 6,000 years, and how do they line up, right? Right. Now we understand Eit Laledet, right? Right. That was the creation of the world when humanity was born, right? Eit Lamut, 214 years going into Adam's life. What happened on year, right? That one would need to sort out, right? What happened at each of, right, on the world history of the past 6,000 years? What happened at each of these 214-year junctures? Right?
Instinctively, before you calculate,
that's above mine and Janet's pay grade. 1 second, Janet. That's above mine and Janet's pay grade, right? But it certainly is fascinating that according to this teaching of Vilna Gaon, which of course he lived in the 1700s, 1800s, right? That right now we are entering into, hi Alan, right now we are entering into this transition of Eit Milchama and Eit Shalom. Yes, Leah and then Janet.
So from what I understand, what you're saying is those things are happening not at the same time, they're not parallel, like the first 214.
He's a different, correct.
And then
he's a different, right.
But to me, it's like there's time for ללדת, לטעת, לחבוק, לבקש, all the positive can be parallel, can happen at the same time.
Yes. Certainly the simple meaning of what Shlomo is saying here in Kohelet is that throughout life, there is a time to born, a time to die, a time to plant, right? And these are day-to-day decisions that we make in our lives. That's certainly the simple meaning. The Vilna Gaon is saying, on top of that, this also is 28 distinct stages of the progression, of the arc of history.
So if Yom Haledet was the
right, again, not to negate the simple meaning. Janet, 1 second. Not to negate the simple meaning that we each have these decisions, and there are times for this and times for that and times for this. Not to negate the simple meaning, but he's saying that there's also this added layer of depth here of mapping out the arc of history in this manner. Yes, Janet.
So Yom Haledet, you said, is creation, and when was Noach and the flood? That was more than 214 years? Because knee jerk, if you don't calculate, you would say, oh, the flood was the Et Lamut.
No, the Noah was born in the year, I think, 900. I don't know exactly how it works out.
Never mind.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we are living at a time now where we are still subject to the teva, to the natural, and that is the pain and the difficulties that the world and we are enduring. But also it is a time of incredible miracles that have happened, that are happening. Like I said, if 2 years ago someone would have laid out the state of the world right now and the state of the enemies surrounding Israel and their decapitated state that most of them are in, we would have said, oh, miraculous, halavai, if only that could happen. So we hope and pray that everyone should stay safe, and we should truly, truly transition from 8 milchama into 8 shalom, and that we'll have the end of all of this hardship and all of this Hashem's presence being concealed in the world. We'll have what's called the Gilui HaYichud, the revelation, the revealing of the Yichud, of the oneness of Hashem, and all that has transpired and all that will be taking us forward, please God, speedily in our days. Okay.
So here, it ends with shalom, right?
Yes.
We know shalom means complete.
Yeah.
Back to God. Everything is
Must complete then. Yeah. Amen. Amen, Dov.
Nobody dies.
Okay, we'll call it over here, my friends.
What?
I don't want to be there. Not die.
Be well, Rosa, Janet, and Allah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Safe travels. Safe travel.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank
Good
you.
morning, and thank you to everyone else.
Be well. Be well. Thank you.